Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Trading Secrets. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. For those of you who do not know, my name is Ali. I have over 20 years experience teaching accounting, economics, business and law. Through this channel I'll be providing some stock analysis and a quick update on the $1 Million Challenge. So if anybody's not aware of this is a journey of an investment of $1,000 to a return of $1 million over a period of 3 years using a strategic or compound return investing. So the objective is try to get 201 trades, each with an average return of 3.5%. It's not 201 consecutive trades. We do take into account losses. So for further details about how to join us for less than $9 a month, information is available in the description below. In today's video, we're going to be looking at your questions with regard to the S1 released by Nexbridge Hydrocarbons. We're also going to be looking at broker updates that have been shared. Before we get started, let's have a look at what's happening in the market. So headline here from Yahoo Finance, stocks have just erased gains and the Dow is set to end a historic winning streak. And if we look at the details of what happened around about 3 p.m. Eastern time, the E-Tech heavy Nasdaq composite slipped 0.5% down. The S&P 500 was also down 0.6%. We did have news on Wednesday with regard to the Fed, and interest rates did go up. So obviously that has not helped the market. And if we have a look at an overall finish in terms of the heat map today, we can see here technology, communication, healthcare and financial, all the sectors, significant amounts of red. So as a quick reminder in terms of what we're looking at today, so this is what I posted earlier yesterday, and that was with regard to Nexbridge Hydrocarbons. They released an S1, and this was in relation to distribution by Nexbridge Hydrocarbons of non-transferable subscription rights to receive at no cost shares of common stock of a new subsidiary of Nexbridge Hydrocarbons to be formed in the future. And in order to be eligible, stockholders to receive the subscription rights and holders must register the Nexbridge common stock directly with the company's transfer agent, which is AST. So we're going to look at questions regarding that S1, and then in the previous video we did break that down. So first question here is from J Pup, who stated, if I transfer to AST and somehow the stock reopens for 2 days as close only, will I not be able to trade then? Also, do you think that'd still be possible, or is that dream dead? So in terms of the likelihood of that, in my personal opinion, I do not believe that is going to happen. I think MMTLP is over, it's finished. I do not believe it's going to trade again, and we're going to look at reasons for that later on. I do believe the company have tried their utmost to make to have those 2 days of trading. We may have actually had the 2 days of trading, but they may have, obviously FINRA probably were in a situation where they did not want to have the 2 days of trading with closed position only. So once you move your shares to AST, if the 2 days of trading theoretically come, then obviously you will not be able to trade. But in my opinion, that's not going to happen. And let's just say, for argument's sake, it does happen. In the whole process of that happening, I think what should happen and what would be the right thing would be for everybody who has transferred to AST to be given enough sufficient time to transfer back. And that is theoretically possible as well, so to give everybody equal right and equal access to trade. So hopefully in theory, if it happens, you will still be able to do that. However, in reality, I think it is not going to happen. And the next question I'm going to share with you here is from MetaHead J, who stated, silly question, let's say you register with AST. When Nexbridge Hydrocarbons finally decides to pay out, do you receive it from your broker, and does these shares still show it in your broker just registered with AST? So the shares will be private shares. They're not going to be showing in your broker account, because the brokers generally do not have a platform to show private shares. All the shares that they have are either on public platforms such as the OTC, Nasdaq, NYSE, etc. So for argument's sake, when Nexbridge Hydrocarbons finally decides to pay out, so let's just say, for example, argument's sake, this is because of a buyout from another oil company, then in theory you could get shares of the oil company. So obviously the company are looking to sell assets, but obviously they're not in a position to sell the assets yet, because according to the correspondence that we've read, there is no deal ongoing currently with any buyer. But if that was to change and was to happen, then certainly you would get shares in that company. Let's say if there was a cash sale, then you would also get cash, and I would also assume that that could be through your broker. However, that is something further down the line, but the key thing is you would certainly get paid if there is a sale of assets. The next question here from Life is a Gamble 101 is stated, are we still entitled to a dividend if we don't transfer? Number 2, why must we hold our shares in AST for an additional 180 days to receive the dividend? Is Nexbridge Hydrocarbons planning on being traded? And number 3, if you are simply trying to get a share count, then why just come out and say that? So first of all, let's have a look at question 1. Are we still entitled to a dividend if we don't transfer? So in my opinion, first of all, the dividend was not a cash dividend. The dividend was 1 share of Nexbridge Hydrocarbons, which would have been MMTLP. So technically, you would have that. So remember, we were not entitled to the dividend. Was never a cash dividend. The dividend was a share of Nexbridge Hydrocarbons. So you will still be entitled to that. And I think if we look at your question further down in terms of Newco, would you be entitled to Newco? Now that's a different question in terms of what that may mean. In my opinion, I believe anybody who doesn't transfer with AST, I believe that if you have asked your broker to transfer and the broker does not transfer, then I believe you have a strong legal arguments in a lawsuit to get compensated for that, but that's something further down the line. So question 2 here, why must we hold our shares in AST for an additional 180 days? So again, the company, if I was to speculate on this, I think the company want to make sure there is sufficient time for all the shares to be moved and counted and added up, verified, look at who are the actual shareholders, who are the owners. So I think they're probably using that time to work everything out, and that will also give them hopefully enough time to work out the balance of shares, and is there obviously are there too many shares? Is Nexbridge Hydrocarbons planning on being traded? No, I don't believe it is planning on being traded. The company have stated it's not being, there are no plans for it to be traded. And the reason why there are no plans for it to be traded is because it would only be tradable. I think the company would only be willing to have it trade if it was closed position only, and that is not going to happen. And if you are simply trying to get a share count, why don't you just come out and say that? So I think that's probably a question the company can answer. The next question I'm going to look at is from Not So Average Honesty 97, who's asked a question here. What is subscription? What am I subscribing to? Lack of information, looks like a scam. So let's see if we can answer this question. So obviously, if we refer to Investopedia, special thanks here for Junk Savvy, who's gone on and answered this question for everybody. And what she stated here is the question that was just asked: what is a subscription right? Question mark. A subscription right is the right of existing shareholders in a company to retain an equal percentage ownership by subscribing to new stock issuances at or below market prices. So the new stock that we are subscribing to for now is called Newco. I'm assuming that the name will come later on officially. So Newco, new company. The subscription right is usually enforced by the use of rights offerings, which will allow shareholders to exchange rights for shares of common stock at a price generally below what the stock is currently trading for. So at the moment, the price thing is not relevant. We're not, obviously, we don't have a price because it's a private company and a private share, so there is no nominated price. And the reason why there's no price is because it's not trading on a public platform. So let's have a look at the information from the company. Officially, what they stated in the S1 with regard to subscription rights, and what they said is to receive your subscription right, you must take the following steps. So highlighted in yellow there, obviously your shares may be registered in the name of the broker or dealer or bank or nominee, etc. You will be eligible to receive subscription right at such time as you have instructed your broker, dealer, bank or nominee to transfer your shares of common stock to the book and record maintained by the transfer agent, which is AST, on or prior to the record date, such that you become the registered holder of the NextBridge Hydrocarbons common stock. So there's a very clear instruction here for you to contact your broker, contact your dealer, and say you want to transfer your shares and you want your shares to be in your name. Once you've done that, then you will get entitlement to Newco, which is a company we are still waiting to hear more about, and that is a subsidiary. So that's the details with regard to subscription rights. So the next question I'd like to answer is with regard to the 60 days. So this has been a common question, and when do the 60 days start? So in terms of the way I see it, the 60 days is only going to start once the S1 becomes effective. At the moment it is not effective, and one of the reasons why it's not effective is it does not yet have dates. So once we get the dates and it's approved, then I assume that the 60 days will then start. So what does 60 days mean? So the 60 days is referring to your deadline to transfer your shares over with AST, and that will give you entitlement to Newco. So that's the 60 days. So Billy Cadle 5792 has stated here, and if you don't transfer you lose out, I guess. So theoretically I would suggest yes, you will lose out on potentially getting the shares of Newco. However, if you ask your broker to transfer and the broker does not transfer, then I believe that you may have reasons and rights for a lawsuit that could potentially be successful. However, if you wish not to transfer and you want to keep things as they are, I still believe that you still could have a strong arguments for a lawsuit if you do financially lose out in the future. So the answer is it possibly could be a little bit complicated. However, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of my broker, I will be looking to transfer if I am able to, and that's something that I'm going to cover in the next video. And the next question here is shout out here to Greg OCTSV. How do we transfer? So I think that's already been covered. The way you transfer is you have to engage with your broker. You have to put pressure on your brokers. Many brokers, I believe, are charging extortionate fees, so you need to try and work with them and as best as you can with them, because in the next video I will be sharing details of all the brokers and what we've had in terms of outcomes so far. So your broker will be able to give you information in terms of how to transfer. And finally, what I'd like to do is finish off by sharing a message from Anna Trades. And this is a message where she stated here, please share and take action, contact your congressional reps. The recent article about a court ruling in April of this year could provide an additional pathway to establishing a share count. A court order stated brokerages are compelled to produce the aggregate number of shares of Silex common stock. So this is a different company. The court gave the 25 brokerages 30 days to produce these numbers. So the reason why this is an important post from Anna is because this is obviously suggesting that we have a precedent, and this precedent is with regard to Silex common stock, and that could be applied to our situation. So she's saying here, we are asking Congress to send a certified letter to FINRA for the share count and certified letters to roughly 105 broker dealers requesting the following. Number one, share count of the total long positions held at record date, 12th of the 12th 22, plus the number of accounts. Number two, the share count of the total short positions held at record date, 12th of the 12th 22, plus the number of accounts. Number three, the number of shares allotted from AST. Number four, the number of shares that have been transferred to AST to date to be registered in beneficial holders' accounts. And should this avenue be taken, we could request a brokerage information via NextBridge Hydrocarbons from AST. So I think one thing as a community that we have been fighting for is information, data, numbers, and certainly FINRA have been very, very hesitant to provide this. I don't know what they've got to hide, but they are very, very reluctant to give any information with regard to short positions, with regard to the total number of shares, total number of trades, anything. We've had absolutely nothing from them. So finally, I'm going to cover the broker dealer issues in the next video, because I think this has gone on a little bit too long. So stay tuned for the next video, and finally, thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned.